Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Price Check Podcast here on the In the Zone Network, where we go city to city, state to state, worldwide. Been around the world and back this NBA offseason, but of course tonight the regular season kicks off. Here we got two really special games to kick off the season. Ironically enough, two Western Conference games. We don't typically see that on opening night, but nonetheless, we are back with the NBA now. Before we get into tonight's games and the kickoff of the regular season, one thing that we always have loved to do, if you've been listening to back when we were only doing audio for the Price Check Podcast, and even now that we've been at video format, one thing that we love to do here at the Price Check is celebrate those who secure the bag. And no better way than to bring in the NBA season than one of the best players in the league securing yet another bag. You know who we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. The Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, gets a 3-year, $186 million extension last night, right before his deadline to sign an extension going into this season. $186 million for those keeping the count at home or doing the math at home. $62 million a year on an annual average. So a lot of money to be expected there, but definitely a deserving player with Giannis. So signs his extension. Of course, the Bucks have been in the news a lot here this offseason, or at least recently, after their acquisition of one Damian Lillard. So definitely, a good thing here for the Bucks front office and just their hopes moving forward. Of course, after trading for Dame, you now have Giannis on the same timeline from a contract standpoint as Damian Lillard. You can kind of, have your big two there, or your dynamic duo, whatever you want to call them. You have those two guys locked in here, at least for the semi-long haul. So excited to see what the Bucks do come Thursday in their season opener against Philly. We'll get to some Philly drama here in a second as well. But, of course, all eyes on NBA on TNT tonight. Kicking off, of course, with the Western Conference Finals rematch. You got the defending champion Denver Nuggets. You got the Los Angeles Lakers, team that, of course, has made some moves and trying to get back into the NBA Finals themselves this upcoming season. So how are we expecting this to play out? What can we expect from this game tonight? And I think, as we've seen historically, ring night typically does not go in the favor of the defending champions. You've got the ceremony at the beginning where each player from last season's team, at least every player that is still currently on the roster, they're rewarded with their rings. The team gets celebrated. They hang the banner and all of that. Typically, that lights a little bit of a fire under the opposing team, which there's already a little bit of a fire lit under the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, at least if you ask everybody except for LeBron James. So he made the comment the other day that he doesn't need any added motivation. His own motivation is enough, or he himself is enough, which I definitely think is true to an extent. But I think we'd all be fools to believe that the Lakers are not having a little bit of extra get up or a little bit of extra motivation for this game, given how things ended against Denver last season, getting swept on your own home court. I definitely think that the Lakers have a point to prove tonight. And I honestly expect for them to be able to get it done. Again, ring night doesn't typically go in the favor of the defending champions. And this Denver team did lose a little bit of their depth here over the course of the offseason. They're getting some other guys into the rotation and things like that. So I think for a team like Denver, tonight is not of major importance. It's how they get the rest of their guys up and going throughout the regular season, the entire way, not just here to start. But I think the Lakers, again, with some of the acquisitions that they made, new starter Taurean Prince, guys like Christian Wood, those guys want to come out and set a little bit of a tone for the season. You got a guy like Austin Reeves coming off of the World Championships, where he showed and proved himself that run that he had at the end of last season was not a fluke. You got those guys kind of wanting to come in and prove a little bit of a point. And I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis will also be up to the challenge. So predicting a close Lakers win here tonight, not just trying to be a homer, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all know my love for the Lakers. But I do think they can get the job done tonight. But I think Denver is still going to be, at worst, a top 3 seed in the West, probably still in the hunt for that number 1 seed when it's all said and done. Now, second game of tonight's slate, you've got the Golden State Warriors at home versus the Phoenix Suns, which Phoenix Suns, of course, had a little bit of a hot offseason themselves, bringing in Bradley Beal, trading out Chris Paul, who, of course, initially went to the Washington Wizards in the Bradley Beal trade, and then ultimately found himself on the Golden State Warriors roster after the trade for trading Jordan Poole to the Wizards. So A little bit of a revenge game for CP3. Now, a couple injuries on both sides of this game as well. Bradley Beal trending towards not playing tonight. He's got a back injury that they're being a little bit cautious with. St. Louis's own Bradley Beal, don't y'all forget it. And then you've got Draymond Green on the side of the Warriors dealing with an ankle injury. He's going to be out tonight. Devin Booker also coming into the game with a little bit of a toe injury, but it sounds like he's going to be totally fine. So I think when you look at both of these teams, you got the Warriors where, everybody's kind of expecting, okay, this is probably not the same Warriors team. Oh, but maybe they got one last gasp in them as far as making a championship run. And then you got this Phoenix team where everybody believes that, that big three that they have of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant is going to be able to get them home to a championship. I'm not quite as sold on Phoenix. Here's why. Love Bradley Beal, love Devin Booker, love Kevin Durant. It's the guys after that I'm out on. Nurkic has not played a healthy season in God knows when. Hell, even Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal have not played healthy seasons in the last 4 or 5 years. But star guys, they're going to show up when they are on the court. Nurkic, even when he's been on the court, has not been that great. Now, of course, they think anything is better than DeAndre Ayton, which I don't necessarily agree with, and I think we'll see that very quickly with a guy like Nurkic. A lot of lower extremity injuries for him over the past few seasons. I just don't see it in terms of him being able to be a reasonable or even above average contributor for them. And the rest of those bench guys are just guys, Grayson Allen, Keon Johnson, guys that they got and part of the Damian Lillard trade, of course, that sent Dame to Milwaukee. They got some of those role players from both Milwaukee and Portland. Just not seeing it. Now, the Warriors, of course, they got to answer the question about how Chris Paul is going to fit in. I personally think it's going to work for them as long as Chris Paul is healthy. Reason for that is Chris Paul, a guy that can take a lot of that ball handling and creating pressure, not only off of Draymond Green, but off of Steph Curry. And you got a guy like Steph who was already running around a bunch of screens, off the ball, things like that. Now you got another point guard that can allow him to do that a lot more often. Again, taking some of those miles off of him, but also being able to ease in Chris Paul into some of those minutes and developing that chemistry with, the likes of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, all of those guys. So I think what it means for this game tonight, I think Golden State wins the game tonight. I don't necessarily know that they're going to have a better record than Phoenix throughout the course of the year. I don't know that Chris Paul is going to stay healthy the entire year. They have, to me, you got some questions on the Golden State side the same way that you do the Phoenix side. But ultimately, I think Golden State wins the game tonight, sets the tone to start the year. And I think personally for Phoenix, the wins and losses in the regular season are not really what's going to matter. It's going to be, do they have their guys healthy come playoff time? And, does that mean they're going to have a realistic shot at the championship, or are they going to be looking at, a second round loss the same way that they were last year when they went up against Denver? So some questions that'll get answered as we go throughout the course of the season. But I do think, as far as predictions for tonight, I got the Lakers with a close road victory in Denver, and I got the Warriors taking care of business at home against Phoenix. So a couple quick storylines before we go. Everybody is, or I don't even know if everybody's talking about it, but my man French Victor Wembanyama, rookie for San Antonio Spurs. If you did not get a chance to catch him in the Saturday night preseason game against the Warriors, my God, talk about a guy that is going to be elite defensively immediately. I think there's a chance not only he wins Defensive Player of the Year his first year, but probably something crazy like leading the league in blocks. He had like 3 back-to-back blocks in that game that led to baskets for the Spurs or even for himself on Saturday. So very, very excited to see what he does in his debut tomorrow against Dallas. And then we got this drama in Philadelphia with James Harden. We're hearing things that, he's going to stay away from the team as long as possible. Of course, he's told the team that he's staying away for personal reasons. We all know what those personal reasons are. He wants his check. He wants to get paid, wants his extension. Clearly, the other 29 teams in the league have not been very willing to jump at that opportunity to get him paid or even trade for him. So we'll see how that continues to play out in Philly. But the biggest thing that I think we need to monitor in Philly is not what the James Harden market looks like or what happens if he's traded. I think we need to start putting a little bit of a time clock on the Joel Embiid situation, because I do think if this thing starts off rocky and Harden is not going to play, they trade him and they don't get an adequate package back for him, I do think at some point Joel Embiid gets frustrated enough to say, hey, maybe Philly is not the spot for me. So two things that I'm keeping my eye on here to start the season, aside from just the games on the court tonight. So, got, of course, great basketball action that we're looking forward to here this week. We're definitely going to be trying to get the price check going here at least once a week here to start the season, just so that we can get back in the swing of things, talking some NBA basketball. And before I go, got to give a major shout out to the WNBA champions, the Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back champions. Let me put some respect on their name. Finals MVP Asia Wilson. I mean, hell of a performance by them. Stepped up when Chelsea Gray went out for Game 4. Made it so that the Liberty did not get a chance at a Game 5, and so got to give a major shout out to the Aces and that dynasty that they've built in Las Vegas. And of course, now we get to go on the road to an NBA championship here, starting with night number 1 tonight. Now, until next time, this has been the Price Check Podcast here again on the In the Zone Network. Again, we'll be trying to get this thing out here once a week, if not a little bit more frequently, depending on what other guests and things we may have. But looking forward to getting a chance to check out the NBA action tonight. And until next time, Price Check, check it out.